I've got one MC. One. I need one student. It's just changing seats. Are you my one student? There we go. Awesome. Thank you. There you go. They can sit next to each other. Right here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Do you know what the
Hello, everyone. Hi, how are we doing today? I am Jim Hodgen. Where's Miss Hart? You need to give her a big round of applause. Her and I have communicated and talked, and that's why you're here today in our special event. We really do appreciate you taking your time from your journey from Reading, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
To come and do this for us. We hope that you have a good time. It'll be a little, maybe not as interesting as what you might think, but what we're going to have up here later on will be fascinating and exciting, okay? So just bear with us for a few minutes. We have a whole schedule, a whole itinerary of things that we have to do first and foremost as we do this. And you'll learn what it's all about if you listen to the gentlemen and ladies speak, okay? So I appreciate you being here very quietly today and having a good time. You're going to be back on your schedule as soon as this is over with. Get all the rest of your programming and lunch, which is important. So thank you very, very much for doing this for us. Thank you. Thank you. Mark. Yeah, have a mark. Sure. Well, there's a couple of sheets that's marked back there, so you'd like to remind us. Yep, and rolling. What? Do that. Jeff, you got a seat right here. Thank you.
And actually, your last few moves when we were fishing the Planetarium, this is cool back in the area that was at that point. Yes. And like the second year, it's been integrated. You're not seeing kids anymore. So, yeah, it's been absolutely.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm just going to put this down here if you don't mind.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
not
try not to bump it.
Oh, you go. Go ahead.
I love it. Wow, it suddenly went quiet. This is great. Good morning. Good morning on this side. And good morning to everyone else. So, my staff knows I like to wing things sometimes on the spot. A couple weeks ago, the news about space. A Chinese lander was on the dark side of the moon. Pretty cool. It was in the media every day. A couple of weeks before that, actually no, this was last week, images for the first time of a black hole. In the news, in the media, constantly, nonstop. Very cool. Last year, we had something from outside of our solar system go passing through our solar system. It was in the news for almost a year as it was coming closer, passing through, and then passing well beyond our solar system. The Apollo 11 landing, the anniversary, 50th anniversary of that is happening in just a couple of months in the news constantly. So I think it's safe to say that astronomy and space research and what NASA and the European Space Agency and Japanese Space Agency, this is pretty cool stuff, isn't it? Everyone say yes. Yeah. How many of you like space? Excellent. Well, guess what? I don't know. I guess it was 1610, 400 years ago, a guy by the name of Galileo. How many of you have heard of him? Anyone? Oh, good. Galileo built a telescope, and unlike all of his colleagues at the time, instead of calling it a spyglass and looking at ships on the horizon, this guy named Galileo from Italy, 1610, took his tiny little telescope and pointed it up to the stars, to the sky. And for the first time, he did a very deep, of that time, analytical study of space. Welcome to Science Central. My name is Martin Fisher, and I'm the Executive Director of Science Central, and I, like all of you, I love space a lot. And because of that, we have this pretty cool exhibit behind me, which is called Science on a Sphere. But we've also been working, fundraising behind the scenes to be able to add on to space and Earth and physical science studies by building and installing at Science Central a planetarium. We still have a ways to go, but we are starting. And thanks to some of the folks that are in this room and will be speaking, we're going to be one step closer to installing a planetarium for all of you, and everybody else that comes and visits Science Central. But to get us started, I want to introduce a couple of our speakers. First of all, since we're a nonprofit organization, that means that we have a board, a volunteer board that helps to guide us and take us through a lot of our behind-the-scenes activities. I would like to go ahead and introduce to you Mike Giroux from Parkview Hospital, who is our current board chair. Round of applause for Mike.
Thank you, Martin. And as Martin said, I serve Science Central in our community as board of director. I'm in my third year. On behalf of the board, I want to thank everyone for being here, your interest and support and excitement of Science Central and the work being done. Martin maybe we'll share later, but we're standing in Science Central now, and only half of this is used. So we're part of the other half of the building that isn't fully used. And one of the current future expansions is the Planetarium. So the growth that we're having here, the importance that Science Central serves in our community, all the downtown revitalization, the work being done, we see Science Central obviously as a very important aspect. I know Toby will be speaking later, but many thanks to the AEP Foundation, not only for the support of what we're standing in here, the Science on a Sphere, but again, the support that we're announcing today for the Planetarium. My final last comment is this is an important aspect of STEM in our community: science, technology, engineering, math, education. So many of the kids here from our local schools, a Science Central experience is going to make them the future scientists, future men and women scientists in our communities. And so this work being done to support the growth of the Planetarium is greatly appreciated, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to go ahead and introduce one of our elected officials. We have a wonderful, committed city council here in Fort Wayne that has a strong interest in the growth and expansion of our city and the impact that we have on both our residents and the folks that are visiting from other states, such as Michigan. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Councilman Jeff Paddock.
Thank you, Martin. It's always a pleasure to be with you. He's got so much energy, it kind of rubs off on us a little bit. And sometimes when you're a little down in the dumps, you're around Martin and your spirits really shoot up there, right to the stars, right? Well, I just want to say how wonderful it is for me to have an opportunity as one of your council members to be here. I can remember going back a long time ago when this was kind of an empty shell of a building and we didn't know what was going to happen to it. It used to produce electric power for a lot of folks in Fort Wayne, and now we've got AEP to do a great job on that. And so it wasn't needed anymore. What was to happen to it? And we had some great leaders that really put a good plan together. But I think as Martin said and as Mike have said, the work is not yet completed. And while we have some wonderful things here, and Martin, one of these days I'm just going to sneak in here and spend some time, okay? Because this is wonderful. I'd really like to spend a little more time enjoying some of these exhibits like I hope some of you get to do. But I think the next step along the way is to try to make that big leap forward, a big transformational leap forward with the Planetarium. And to do that, we need some support. We've got some great private funders. We really thank so many folks, and particularly AEP, for their outstanding service to us as a utility company and their donations in philanthropy. But we also need some help from the city to get this job done and to get over the threshold, if you will, of the money that's needed. And so we have a fund called the Legacy Fund that some of you may know about, and we're trying to put some matching money into that so we can move this forward. And I'm hoping that in the next few weeks we'll be able to get the 6 votes that we need to get that done and really push this beautiful addition to Science Central over the top. I'm going to do everything I can to help with that, Martin. I know you've already stretched yourself immensely, and hopefully together we'll get that job done. Thank you all very much. Such a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Martin.
So to introduce the I&M president, Toby Thomas, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to project something way cool on the Science on a Sphere exhibit behind me. And the reason why we're doing that is because the AEP Foundation was also a major sponsor and supporter of this exhibit and the room that we're in right now. So I'm going to need everyone to help me with an Apollo-style countdown. Are you guys going to be able to do that? We'll start with 10. And if you've seen any of the videos or movies, they do kind of a 10 to 1 and a 1. There's a lift off and a blast off. It's really cool. So I'm going to have all of you help with that. Staff ready for this? Okay. Are you guys ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't you just love technology? All right. It is my pleasure to go ahead and introduce to you Toby Thomas, the president of INM, who was kind enough to come in today to be able to speak with us and also to help us to work with the AEP Foundation in sponsorship and support of Science Central's Planetarium. Toby.
Again, appreciate the opportunity to be here and, be a part of such a great community here in Fort Wayne. And this is near and dear to my heart because I'm an engineer by trade. So, science and technology is where I'm comfortable. That's what I grew up doing. So, it's great to see this wonderful facility and how it's changed over the years. And it's great that we've been able to be a part of it. As we talked before, science, technology, engineering, and math is critical in how we, advance our culture, advance basically the places that we live, and we are committed to help advance that with what we do in the communities that we serve. And I can envision that a lot of the kids sitting here right now, are going to be scientists and engineers 20 years from now and solving all the world's problems. So I thank you for that in advance, because hopefully by that time I'll be on the sidelines enjoying other things. But INM has a long history with this building, as we talked about, as part of generating power years ago. It transitioned from that into the facility that you see today, and that has been an awesome journey, and we've been proud to be a part of that. And again, for me, I come from a generation background as well, so seeing generation equipment, again, brings me comfort as I see old turbines and generators and pumps and things out there, and it's great for kids to be able to see that and learn. And really, we like, just like we see here and being a part of that, to be able to spark the imaginations of kids. This room, I was in awe the first time I came in here, and I'm looking at it, and, the technology actually works. If I tried to do that, it wouldn't have done what it was supposed to do when you saw it there. But where we are today, INM and AEP Foundation are here to support Science Central's latest campaign, which we've talked about, is the Planetarium. And actually, Martin, I think it was about a year and a half ago, sort of was talking about his vision as we went in the room where this new edition is going to go. And so, again, we know this is going to support STEM education both now and well into the future, and create a place and continue to have a place where kids can come and adults can come, everybody can come and explore this part of what we do. So the Planetarium will contribute to that, and science education, STEM education well into the future. And I'm happy to award this check for $100,000 to support Science Central from the AEP Foundation and Indiana Michigan Power. Does everybody have what they need? All right.
Another round of applause.
Thank you.
We have another surprise for you. Because a planetarium and public education of science and space and astronomy research is so important to all of us, we have a video welcome from the director of the Indiana Space Grant Consortium. We're going to go ahead and use our Science on a Sphere as the screen and project this welcome right behind me.
Hi, my name is Barrett Caldwell. I'm a professor at Purdue University and director of the NASA Indiana Space Grant Consortium. The Indiana Space Grant Consortium is the face of NASA in Indiana, provide engagement, education, inspiration regarding NASA's mission. Science Central has been an amazing educational and cultural institution that has been a very strong affiliate of the Space Grant Consortium. over many years. And we understand that Science Central in Fort Wayne will be developing and building a planetarium. We believe that that planetarium, including the science and engineering missions and images from NASA, will be an even stronger addition to the scientific educational opportunities that the public will enjoy. And we look forward to Science Central building and installing a planetarium for generations of Fort Wayne area residents to appreciate and engage.
Excellent. So that's pretty cool that we're getting some interest not only locally, but even from around the states and from NASA's presence here in Indiana. All right. You guys want to see some cool stuff, don't you? Yeah. You want to be able to see other images that science on a sphere can do. You want to be able to learn about science in space, right? 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 Excellent. We're going to go ahead and show you a couple of images of our Science on a Sphere, which have been sponsored by AEP Foundation. Joining me next is Justin, and Justin is one of our educators. He's going to go ahead and take you through. We have a really neat term for these images. We could call them pictures. We could call them images, but no. NASA calls them, you ready for this? Data sets. What's the word?
Data sets!
Excellent.
Thank you, Martin. All right, y'all. So, Martin had alluded to this earlier. There's a quiz. I hope you all know that. What was 50 years ago this summer? What are we celebrating this summer? Ooh, I know. Oh, that's right. I heard of the Apollo moon landing, right? So we can actually take a look at historical data of the moon and its various sites. Now, did you know, kiddos, that we've landed on the moon and walked on the moon not once, not twice, but there have been 6 missions to the moon. Now, this data set, as we've just been learning, marks those locations. If you want to know where we landed first with Neil Armstrong, that's actually, and I'll show you on this side first. You see that kind of crab claw that the moon has? That looks like a crab claw down there. Right here at 11. That's Apollo 11. That's the first place that man has ever stepped onto the moon. But we're not just stopping there with Science on a Sphere, nor with science exploration. Who can name this planet? That's Mars, right? Now, Mars is known as the red planet, and we've been studying Mars for quite a while with robots. In fact, it's the only planet completely inhabited by robots, which is pretty sweet. Now, something that I just heard today, the InSight lander that landed last year, for the first time ever, is relaying information to us that Mars does have Marsquakes. Who knows what a Marsquake is? Jim. Any idea? Marsquake. Does it sound familiar? That's like an earthquake. Yeah, absolutely. It's an earthquake, but since it's happening on Mars, we call it a Marsquake. Now, why that's really cool is we're learning things about how Mars may have formed. What happened to Mars? Why can we see this frozen ice on the poles of Mars, but maybe the liquid oceans aren't there anymore? So we're learning things all the time. Speaking of Marsquakes, we can look at earthquakes. Now, this data set is of the Earth, but do you notice that timestamp down there? Do you notice those numbers? What does that say? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Exactly. This is live data from around the world piped in right here on Science on a Sphere. So if you ever feel a shake up there in Michigan and think, man, was that just an earthquake? Did I just feel one? 15 minutes later, you can give us a call here at Science Central. I can actually pull down North America and see if indeed you had an earthquake. Not only the size, but also the depth, which is extremely important, which is really cool. If you didn't think that was cool enough, let's take another view of that Earth. Now, this is a more accurate Earth because it has the Terminator line on it, the difference between day and night on our planet. And this isn't an artist's interpretation of the colors of the Earth, what we think the Earth might look like. No, this is actual imagery. This is actual true color image. If you were to go into space and look down on Earth, these are the actual colors you would see. So even though maybe myself, my generation, might not get to go into space, you guys might. But if not, we have Science on a Sphere here to see and get a glimpse of what these worlds look like from space. Very cool. Now, I know you all have a lunch that you should not want to miss. So, I hope you enjoyed a few of our little data sets here. If you have any free time for your post, come and see us. I'll be hanging around. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Did you guys have fun? Yeah! You know what? We actually do have a tradition here at Science Central. If you had fun and you learned something, could you all do me a favor? On the count of 3, could you all yell as loud as possible? Adults, I apologize. Science is fun. Can you all yell science is fun on 3? We'll do it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3! Thank you so much. All right, I think we can direct you to your lunch.
Thank you, everybody. We are going to be meeting at lunch at 11, so it's 10:45 now. You have just a few minutes. If the chaperones can make sure that you understand where our lunchroom eating area is, it's downstairs. Make your way down there, and your lunchtime is from 11 to 11:30. And we're going to actually be filing out the side door right here because there's interviews going on in front of this door. So I would like this side of the room to stand up. And can I have Mr. Dale will show you where to file out. So go ahead. You can go out 2 rows at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, this side of the room, you can stand up, and we're going to actually come out this way. So let's all line up right here. Come on towards me.
You did good. It's all over with. Pull it.
Yeah, we're all done.
We love Planetarium.